everyone, I'm SJ. So today I wanted to chat a bit more in depth about my son Finn's speech delay. I did a video about this a little while ago and it was really inspired by a YouTuber I watch over in America who is called Devon, and we started speaking after I posted my speech delay video because she has a son called Cullen who also has speech delay, and she does lots of videos about it, videos that I watched and really sunk in with me and sort of untapped me being able to talk a bit about Finn's speech delay and also just deal with Finn's speech delay, because I think for a long time I just literally was like coming up against a brick wall and my brain wouldn't let me kind of go there because I was so emotional about it. So Devon is also doing a video on her channel all about her story of speech delay, and because speech delay presents itself so differently, it's really good to hear two stories about it. I've watched Devon's channel for ages because she also does baby name videos, which I do as well on my channel. She's so pretty, she's so down to earth. She has Cullen, she also has a baby Isla who is the same age, a little bit younger than my daughter Evelina. So do go and check out her channel, do subscribe when you're there because you will love all her videos as well as just loving her. She's so lovely. So we're both going to share a bit about our emotional journeys of speech delay, because when I started talking about speech delay, most of the messages I got from you guys was like, yeah, like that you cry about it every single day, or that like me, you just feel emotionally flawed by it. And it's bad to say that in a way because there's bigger problems out there, you know, but when you are living with a problem like speech delay, it affects so many parts of your life and their life, and it's almost like a lot of fear comes with it because it's uncharted territory and we don't quite know what we're doing. And obviously Devon being in the US, the system's different, me being just outside London, but the emotions pretty much we feel very similarly about. So I was just going to share my biggest fears that I have for my speech delayed child, and hopefully how I'm overcoming those fears or my plans to address those fears. Hopefully it will relate with some of you and we can support each other in it. So I guess the first biggest fear you're going to have when you start noticing that their speech isn't coming along. So Finn, I started noticing around the time he was like 1.5, 2, his babbling wasn't translating into words, and it was right at the time I went back to work as well. So first thing that happens is you just think, why is this happening? What am I doing wrong? It was all wrapped up with me with a huge amount of guilt. I literally said out loud a lot of times, it's because I'm at work, it's because I'm not at home with him. I would be able to sort this out and speak to him much better than his nanny can. He had a full-time nanny, so it wasn't like he was being lost in a classroom at nursery. It was an unfounded fear, but I just felt that it was my fault and that I must have done something wrong, and that is something that I think we've all kind of felt like when people have messaged me, and I've done nothing wrong. I realise that because he's my second. Thankfully I already had an elder child. I did nothing different. If anything, there was more chatter in the house because of the older child, but yet it just happened, and I still not got down to the real root, because the first thing they would do is try to find out what is causing your child's speech delay, and it might be that they test them for autism, which I know has happened to a few of you, and that's a very daunting thing to go through with a very young child, but it is one of the signs of autism, and they will check their hearing. So Finn had to go in for some hearing tests. We didn't start his assessment until he was 3.5, so they'd already kind of ruled out autism because he was in nursery and not displaying any signs of that, but I was very scared of that at the beginning as well. His hearing was totally fine, so for him it just seemed to be that he learned this strong g sound early, and there's different types of sounds that your child will make, and he didn't do the babbling, the ba 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 pa pa pa. So with the speech therapy we're starting right at the beginning of babbling and making those sounds and using your mouth to make those sounds, because he got all his back throat sounds, and they're very prominent sounds. They don't normally get this till they're more like 3.5, I think, and because they were so strong they just stuck with him and nothing else would come out of his mouth apart from g, 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 g. So he just starts everything with a g. And the second biggest fear I had for him was that because of his speech delay, no one's going to get to know him and because they can't understand what he's trying to say. How could you get to know somebody, and how could you get to see what a lovely little boy he is, all his little quirky personality, his little humour? And he talks all the time. We don't have a problem with him not trying to talk at the moment. He babbles away and people don't understand, and you can almost see his see him get sad about that, because he's like, know. And I just wish that people could love him and know him as much as I do. He's very beautiful, he's very expressive, he's very cheeky, and he doesn't let it get him down. He keeps on and he makes friends easily, and I'm so proud watching him do that. But as a mum, you just want everyone to understand and your child to be expressing themselves to everyone, and it was just a big fear that he was not going to be known as who he really is. I'm really scared of him being 4 about starting school. I'm really scared. Jevon's also at the same junction with Cullen, and I think that she's talking about homeschooling, so that's something you're interested in. Make sure to go and check out her channel and hear how she's talking about that, because it's not something I could ever take on. Like, I'm really like impressed by her, because I wouldn't be able to commit to something like that. I would be no good at it. So I'm putting Finn into mainstream school, and a lot of people I've been speaking to online is like, how are we going to deal with this, with the speech issues? Because you know, my worst fear is that he's in the classroom, there's 30 in a class in school here in England, in London, and how is the teacher not going to understand him? She might think he's not understanding the work when he actually is quite bright, very bright, but he can't say the sounds or say the letters as clearly. And in a class of 30, is she ever going to tune in and be able to really understand him? And I worry that he's going to get left behind academically, but obviously more than that, I'm worried emotionally. That's how is he going to fit in if anyone says mean comments to him. He's old enough to totally understand, and he'll say, you know, children do say to me, I don't understand what he's saying if we're at like a play group sometimes, or I just say, oh yes, because sometimes his words don't come out quite clearly, but he's saying this, and I'm always there to kind of have his back. Or a lady on the bus recently, he was chatting to me and I was just chatting to him on the bus. She sat behind me and she said to her husband, he's talking gobbledygook, and I had a little laugh about it, and I was really hurt. I just thought, yeah, you think it's funny, but it's not funny. He's not talking gobbledygook, he's talking to me and he's my child, and he's being lovely actually, and he was saying lovely things. And why not just take a minute to think, is that the correct thing to say? And I know people don't. Obviously she just thinks he's talking gobbledygook, but he doesn't understand what that meant, so he wasn't upset. But he will get to the point where he gets hurt by it, and the way I'm dealing with that is just being very open with him. So I'm just basically telling him all the time, sometimes people do not understand you because you do have this delay with your speech, but we're working so hard and it's getting so much better now that we eventually will. And I started that to try to get over the frustration and the anger he would have if I didn't understand him or his dad doesn't understand him. Full on tantrums, screaming. It's very frustrating, and I would just say, yes, it's very frustrating, and I'm worried about those angry traits coming out at school and him being classed as like aggressive, or because, you know, it is a very aggressive reaction because he's frustrated. And so I always try to explain to him, rather than just saying, oh, I used to be like, oh silly mummy, I don't understand, I need to clean my ears out, and make a bit of a joke about it and try to not address the actual root problem. Now I just say, you know that you have this issue with your speech, I'm trying very hard, please don't get angry, can you show me what it is you're saying, try it again, let's try it together. And just try to really explain to him, you know this is a problem, don't get angry with me, let's work this out together, because that seems to kind of logically now help. So we're doing really well. He started speech therapy now, and that was really scary for me. I found a private speech therapist, and I almost didn't want to hear what her assessment was, or was scared it wasn't going to work, scared about the amount of effort and homework I was going to have to do with it, because I find that hard to sit and get him to do things like that with me and to repeat words back to me. He doesn't want me to be, he wants me to be his safe place, and he wants me to be the one who always understands him, and that's what I'm always going to be for him. So it's quite hard to not be that, and to be sort of trying to teach him how to do words properly. For all my children, I always want home to be their safe space and to be the place where they can be 100% themselves without judgment, and without the fear that we think there's something different or unusual about them. And you know, it's a big thing to put them into school. Sorry, it's very emotional, as you can see, and if you guys are emotional about it as well, I know. But yeah, once I get the school place confirmed, what I'm going to do is ring them in advance and speak to them, and hopefully try to get, maybe I can bring him in to meet his teacher a few times before, one-to-one, so that she can kind of tune in and get to know him. The great thing about the speech therapy being private is his private speech therapist is happy to go in and also talk to the school about how she's working with him, make sure that he's sat right up front so he doesn't get kind of lost at the back. You know, I just don't want his confidence to be knocked. You know, his confidence is up here at the moment because we instill it in him, and school is a tough place. But yeah, it's always tough, school, no matter if your child is gonna have difficulties or gonna fly through. There's always going to be something that's tough, and it's a tough place, isn't it? A tough place to put your kids out into the world, into their peer group. Luckily his big brother will be there, so hopefully that will help. Anyway, so those are my fears for my speech delayed child and how we're addressing them and coping with them. I'd really appreciate it if you let me know in the comments below if you've got a speech delayed child, any other tips you have for me, for Devon, for each other, and you know, hope this can be a good place where we can talk to each other. I will leave my other social links as well here, so you can always pop over there and chat to me as well. And sorry for getting emotional. This is like a trigger bomb for me. I just go whenever I think about it. But yes, I'm sure Devon will be being much more positive and normal on her videos. Do remember to go and check out and subscribe when you're over there. Tell her I sent you, and I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye guys.